Gotham, a crazy podcast about DC, with your hosts E-Rock and PD. When we speak up, get your cheeks up, cause you know you about to get geeked up. So sit back, relax, and get comfy. Lose your mind like Solomon Grundy, and listen to a show that won't be forgotten, coming straight out of Gotham.
And hello, everybody in Bloodhaven. Welcome to another episode of Gotham, episode 28. We are a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network, hosted by Batman on Film, the Dadgum Original. I am your co-host from the home state of Taylor Ham. I am Peter M. Vera, and today we are recording on January 21st, 2021. And as always, we have a great show for you today. But before we get into good stuff, I would like to remind you, all of those faithful listeners out there, that if you take the time to rate and review this show on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, and we read your review on air, we will send you a Straight Outta Gotham prize pack. Now, let me introduce you to my co-host, the double cheeseburger eating champion of the Olympic Diner in Deer Park, Long Island. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eric Q. Holzman.
Q?
The Q is for Quincy because your parents are big fans of the Mr. Magoo television show.
Oh, man. I'm stuffed, though. These burgers. The burgers just,
I did.
But yes, man, that was another time in my life you're bringing back. You do your research. I don't know how you find all these things about me. But
is it true that your picture is still on the wall? Like no one has eaten more double cheeseburgers than you in a specific time frame?
My picture is still on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It is also, I've also taken a picture there. It's up with Long Island's own Billy Joel.
Okay.
He was there the day I did it. It was a really big moment, obviously, for me. And
Did they give you the opportunity to like name the burger? Did you call it like the Holes Burger or like what was it named?
They didn't ask me. They should have, though. That's something that I wish you were my agent because we could have done that. I could have had a burger named after me, which is obviously is something I think every man would love to have.
Yeah,
like we can't be
any kind of sandwich, really. Let's be honest.
Of course, like Ben Roethlisberger has the Roethlisberger, and
is that a real thing?
It is. Yes, it is a real thing in Pittsburgh. There is a deli or somewhere where they have the Roethlisberger.
Oh, if you win enough Super Bowls.
And then, of course, the Wahlbergs have their own burger shop, Wahlburgers.
Okay.
So, I mean, it'd be great to have a sandwich named
One of my favorite episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm is when Larry David tries to switch sandwiches with Ted Danson.
Yes.
I think is it Ted Danson? It might be. I forgot who it is.
No, I think you're correct.
But yeah, it's hysterical because they get like this whitefish sandwich and Larry doesn't want it, and they try to switch, and then Ted's like, I don't want a whitefish. It's just they go back and forth, and it's just great. It's just a wonderful episode of Curb.
All right, so really quickly, I just need to ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
What's the name of our show?
Straight Outta Gotham.
Do you know what you said in the beginning?
No.
You said episode number 28 of Gotham.
Did I really?
Yes, you did. Yep, you did.
Oh, that sucks. We should redo that.
No, we're not redoing it. We're keeping it. Just because of how much you love Gotham. I just want to keep that in there for posterity. So now, forever, your Freudian slip on the show was calling our show Gotham, which is great. It just fits for you.
I quit. You just ruined the night.
I'm sorry, but we're keeping it. I edit the show and we're keeping it, so that's it. It's staying. But we have a guest tonight, Pete.
I don't even care anymore.
That's not nice. That's not not nice at all. Good Lord. Well, I care, so I'm going to introduce him. He is 1/3 of the Vigilante 1939. He has been on the Iceberg Lounge with us. He was part of the fundraiser we did around Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nick Zednik, what's going on, man?
I'm Zednik.
Yes, you are.
Guys. Oh, man. You know, Gotham's a big city. I'm here on business. And what better way to spend my business trip than to come on over to the other side of Gotham and hang out with you two fellas? How's it going?
I mean, we're ecstatic to have you on here. You're the first vigilante to make the show. I want you to know.
Hey.
So, you beat the Italians.
I did. I did. I did. Very proud of that.
So what's going on, brother? How are things going by you?
Things are going good. I'm fully recovered from my health scare from a few
Okay.
weeks ago, and I am ready to get my vengeance on again.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm glad Zednik is healthy and ready to talk some fanboy with us.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm really excited for.
Yeah, so the main reason we're on the show tonight is to talk about Batman Soul of the Dragon. So we wanted to bring Zeddy on to help us talk about that, but we'll get to that later. There is some news that's been going on, and as our normal format of the show, Pete and I pick topics and we discuss them. They're usually fanboy topics. I'm going to start tonight, though. We didn't have these planned, but there's just news that came breaking just tonight, actually, and today. So I will start number one with there was another slate of movies that were once again pushed back, but the one that highlights for me is No Time to Die. The next James Bond installment will be moved back now till October. Obviously, we all know why. It's because of the pandemic. It's not something we need to get. Huh?
Because of what? Why?
Oh.
Why? Why?
Yes. So we're getting kind of used to this now. I was a little surprised that they didn't find a streaming service to stream it on. As we know, MGM doesn't have their own streaming service, so they would have to go another route. But who knows between now and then what's going to happen. But really quickly, I was really looking forward to this film, so I'm a little bummed that it's going to be later in the year. And now there's also word that they might push Black Widow back again. I don't know. I know I've been the one that's saying, no, I want to see all these films on the screen, but man, it just keeps pushing everything else back.
Many Saints in Newark is pushed back as well. Pushed back, I think, last week. And it's kind of a bummer for places who don't have streaming services. And, again, you mentioned Black Widow earlier, like Disney Plus is Disney's streaming service. They own MC Marvel and all that jazz, but they're hell bent on releasing that in theaters, and it's just, I'm so numb to this that like having these movies pushed back isn't even news to me anymore.
Yeah,
but, it's just like, okay, well, I expect it at this point.
Yeah, I think we all now kind of do. I was hoping that with the vaccine being rolled out, even though it's been slow, that they would stick to the schedules, but who knows? We'll see.
Zeddy, what's your take on this?
Yeah, so this one kind of caught me off guard because, there was talks that it was kind of expected, but I think that kind of just does go to show that if this thing was set in April and it's still getting moved to the fall, I think it does kind of set a precedent of where we still are in the world. But this is really slowly starting to get like Wonder Woman 84 vibes for me, where it's like the more we keep pushing this, it's like that anticipation. Like, I don't know if I think the momentum is going to hurt this thing now because it's like a year out now, I think, or by October it will be, right? So, I
still think James Bond is a bigger name than Wonder Woman to the point where like people will come out to it when it's ready, especially this James Bond. This James Bond's been around for a while now and just.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's also just the content thing too, right? Like it's, like we think that there's content on right now, but there's really not. So I think more people, like especially right now, would pay like that $10 for it. Mm-hmm. But I would prefer to see kind of Daniel Craig's final bow out in a theater with socially distant people. So
yeah. I think that's how I feel too, and I think that's how a lot of people feel. Mm-hmm. Those movies have become such big spectacles, just like any comic book movie that we get now. So, it's always better to see those on the big screen. So, but again, we're now waiting again till October. So, oh well, we'll see. It's got to get to the point that you're like, oh well, what else is new, right? So, we got another bit of information, and today. We got a trailer for the Superman and Lois TV show that's going to be on the CW. So did you guys see the trailer, and what did you think?
Zeddy, you take this one.
I did catch the trailer. It was actually the first thing that I saw on my timeline, which was exactly what I needed. So I have a few things. So right off the bat, the cinematography for this thing looks excellent. Mm-hmm. Like, I just have to praise that. Like, it does look like a Superman show should be, or the way it should be treated as.
Right.
I get the sense that this thing is going to be a different take on Superman, which I've come around to now. I definitely think that if they can kind of hit that core middle line between like Smallville, Adventures of Lois and Clark, I think they got a good starting ground. Okay. Because I'm in the vein where I don't think we've had a bad Superman show ever. So I think kind of putting Superman back on the small screen, I think, is a smart way. Because I know, and this isn't the Cavill Superman. I love the Cavill Superman, but I love that I'm getting this kind of different take on Superman that is kind of much more in line of the character that I've read kind of my whole life and kind of seen on screen similar. Right. So I think they are kind of taking Superman back to his roots, and I'm not kind of at all taken aback by the whole father Superman dynamic. I mean, he's in his suit, so I mean, this is going to be Superman doing Superman things. So I'm not really worried about that. But what do you guys think? Because I'm in now. So.
No, I mean, I echo a lot of the things that you said. While this is going to be a new take, but again, like adding the fatherly element to this show, while, it's not exactly, Jonathan Kent. These are, I don't know if they're twin boys or what, but they're older, they're high school kids, and it adds an interesting dynamic. And just from that trailer that was released today, it seems to be a lot more serious in tone, with more, probably like more along the lines of Black Lightning than it was Supergirl, and it just the way they shot it and everything, and just how it looked, it kind of looked, to be honest, it looked a little Snydery. It looked kind of muted in color and everything, and it was almost really serious and kind of depressed. Yeah, it had a Man of Steel vibe to it. And while like Hoagland is kind of teetered more along the lines of like a Reeves-esque type portrayal of Superman, this almost seems like it's going to be a really good balance. Not as kind of like lighthearted as Lois and Clark really was, because I mean that was great. That was a great series in itself, but it definitely wasn't as serious as probably most other shows. And I agree with you. Like, we've never really had a bad Superman TV show, going all the way back to George Reeves. That show itself was amazing. And in the pilot of that episode, in that TV show, like the Krypton stuff, they nailed. All the Jonathan and Martha Kent stuff is really different and not really traditional. Once he lands on Earth, but all the Krypton stuff was great. But I'm like really digging this, and I'm excited. And it's Superman just seemed to really have excelled historically on television more than in the theaters. Yep. Outside of Superman 78 and Superman 2, he hasn't been as successful as as hoped. Superman 3, 4, Superman Returns, even Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League, like they haven't really captivated, but Superman on TV has been historically just like really well appreciated and well done. And, the audience has reacted to it. So, I mean, I'm pumped for it. I can't wait to see it. And I mean, I'm just excited to see, more, I don't mind the CW stuff. I enjoy it, but I would love if this kind of teetered more towards the serious tone that I see on like Black Lightning. So
yeah, the show, the CW show that I loved the most was the first one, was Arrow, and this seems to have a similar tone to what Arrow had.
Yes.
So I'm gonna give it a shot. I wasn't going to watch this show. I really wasn't that intrigued, but this trailer was very good, and the little bits and pieces we've gotten about the plot and what they're doing with the show has got me intrigued. So I'm definitely going to give it a shot. I will watch it. I did think the trailer, like the quality of it, was very good for this show. Yeah. It doesn't look halfway near as cheesy as the Supergirl stuff does to me.
It looks totally different in tone.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, his appearances on Supergirl, like in season 1, we saw Superman like fly once, and then we saw him kind of like, I don't know, behind, we didn't see his face, because they didn't cast Tyler Hoechlin yet. Yeah. And then his appearances have been very cheesy almost, and this seems like a totally different thing.
Yeah, and I'm just glad we're getting something Superman on screen. And this is, like you said, it seems to be that's where the medium where he works best for some reason. I don't know why that film has been tough to do. Again, I like Man of Steel, so I'm not picking on that movie. I like that movie. Yeah. But it hasn't resonated with other people. So it seems on television that that's exactly where his comfort zone is for mainstream media. So
maybe that's just because you can flesh him out more in depth over, 22 hours as opposed to 2 hours every 4 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm hoping that the that this show does well and sparks interest in Superman again, and then maybe that'll push the feature side, the feature film side of it.
Really would be
to get them done. So that's that. So yeah, Superman and Lois, guys, is coming what in the fall?
February.
In February. Okay, my fault. See, it's coming
February 23rd, and it's going to be a 2-hour premiere.
Ooh, right, that's true.
So we're actually going to get a lot of like Superman.
Getting a 2-hour Superman movie.
You're getting a 2-hour Superman movie on TV. You're getting 4 hours of Justice League, and you're going to get one episode every week after that first premiere. So we got a lot of Superman coming, which is actually kind of exciting and
about time.
Change your pace.
Yes, and I have a love-hate relationship with the CW, as Pete knows at least, and Zeddy, you might know from listening. So I have a love-hate relationship with that network.
You got to watch Black Lightning, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I do have to watch that. I do have to binge that and catch up because everyone tells me how great that show is. So I probably would enjoy that. Staying in the CW realm, as we know, every year for I think the past 4 years. It wasn't every season because they hadn't have all the characters. But I think the past 4 years we've gotten a crossover show. Yeah. Well, because of COVID-19, we will not be getting a crossover this year. So that's a bummer because those are usually fun. Or at least fun. They weren't always great, but they were at least fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing everyone seeing all the characters from the different shows come across and come together. And Crisis on Infinite Earths, even though I didn't particularly think it was great, it did have its moments.
Dude, I had a blast with that thing. I really did. Just all the fan service in that was excellent. Yes. I mean, seeing Nox to the original Birds of Prey TV show. I mean, but what was the Zeddy? What was the one where they had like the evil the count? They were on they had the other Justice League on the other Earth, and they were all bad versions of them.
Was that Earth X? I think.
Yeah, like that was a great one too. I dug that one. You know, I really, for the most part, really dug these crossovers. And didn't it really just start crossing over Flash and Arrow? Wasn't it basically just 2 episodes?
Yeah, the first couple of seasons it was just those two. There was a Flash Arrow crossover event. And that's when I watched both shows. That was back when it began, and I liked early. Flash. So
and as DC fans, we didn't really have that kind of interaction with characters, really. Like that was the only real time you saw these characters. You know, we didn't have the whole connected universe like the MCU and Marvel does. So it was different. You know, it was Flash is a huge character in his own right, and Green Arrow's he's no slouch himself. So getting those two together was cool, and then eventually Kara and Supergirl got involved, and she crossed over with Flash, and that was interesting. And they had their race, and that was fun, before we got the end credit scene of Justice League. So they were just cool experiences, in my opinion. I really dug them for the most part.
So Zeddy, no crossover, bummed out about this?
Yeah, it is kind of a bummer too, because I do kind of really look forward to some of these crossovers too, because they are really like some of the best episodes of like said season or said character. But only because of like what they teased at the end too, like with the Justice League tease. Spoiler, I guess, for a year-old crossover. But my thing is, I'm actually really disappointed because of the World's Finest thing, because I was really looking forward to seeing like a potential Supergirl Batwoman crossover. Because I don't think we're getting World's Finest on the big screen anytime soon. So if you can do it like with the Supergirl and Batwoman, I thought it was cool, and I still think that you can do it with Superman and Batwoman. I don't think they're going to get there for a while, but I still think that is something that I would definitely like to see, and it is a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a bummer, even though like I said, I didn't love Crisis, but this was it's something that you look forward to if you watch those shows every year. And the fact we're not getting one because of COVID again. And also I think because they were talking like, I know they were going to, like you said, they were going to do like the World's Finest, but because of Supergirl ending now, we're probably not going to get that dynamic. So
I just liked it because it was like a whole week. It was like this big hype engine, like every day at 8:00 there was some kind, and I really dug that part. Like it was a really exciting week in TV.
Yeah. For Crisis, especially. That was something that they had really they hyped that so well. They did a very good job. So it's a bummer, but I'm sure next season, and when things start to calm down again, we'll get some kind of crossover event. We won't have Supergirl, but like I said, now we have Superman, so there's definitely possibilities moving forward that we will see this happen.
Oh, I'm all for Superman and Flash again. I mean, just think of like now they can technically be in that like same universe. I'm like, sign me up.
I'd be down for another race, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's just cool. I love seeing that stuff. It was one of the better parts of that stupid Justice League movie, and seeing Kara and Barry race was also fun. Like it's a cool fanboy moment if you're an old school collector and you know the history behind what that actually means. And I dug it when they did it in Superman the Animated Series, so it's always welcome.
So, arguably one of the best cartoon series for a character was Batman the Animated Series for a superhero character. You can make the case.
Great segue.
Yeah, that is the best one ever. So we now have news of a potential sequel to Batman the Animated Series that will be on HBO Max. So Pete and I, since we started our show and HBO Max became a thing, I feel like this is something we discuss almost every show. Something happening on HBO Max, but we're getting
HBO Max.
Yeah, so like I feel like we're growing with the streaming service. I feel like Straight Outta Gotham has grown partly because of HBO Max. So there was rumor. This is a rumor, although Kevin Smith has said that he doesn't think it's a rumor. He thinks it's real. He thinks it's definitely on the horizon. He thinks it's something that we are going to see. So as much as we all love this, Pete, real quick, sequel for Batman the Animated Series.
I'm in the minority here. I don't want this. I got a sequel to the Batman the Animated Series. It was called Batman Beyond. And actually before that, it was called Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this Batman. I've seen his universe. I've seen everything he's possibly had to do between Batman, even appearing on Superman the Animated Series, and like I said, Justice League and Batman Beyond. So I'm just kind of like, I know that usually when you get a solo Batman movie, you get a new Batman animated TV show. I would just like something fresh, something new, give a new artistic style, a new idea, something different. But to me, like, Batman the Animated Series is treasure, and it shouldn't be screwed with. It shouldn't be touched. I think it'll stand the test of time. It's the definitive take on the character in animated fashion, and it's just, I don't know. It's I've said this on the Batman on Film podcast. It's like making a fourth Nolan movie. It's like they told their story and they told it in parts, and they've even they did the unthinkable with Batman Beyond, and they created a sequel that way. So I think the story's been told. But again, like, I know people are going to want this, so who am I to tell them what they want? But me personally, I'm not into this. I'd rather have a fresh idea.
That's fair. So Zeddy, Pete's talking about he doesn't want a sequel. If you were doing this, or for your preference, would you say maybe a prequel to Batman the Animated Series, something along those lines?
Yeah, so I've been trying to think about this kind of all day when I heard about it, because although I am thrilled at like the possibility of a Batman the Animated Series revival, only because I would be thrilled about it, because I think that there's way more that you can tell now than you did when you had the series. Mm-hmm. Only because you have like Deathstroke and Deadshot, Professor Pig, Red Hood. So I mean, you could add like all these new elements to the show that you never could before. But the fear is kind of like what Pete said. It's like it kind of already was a perfect show, so to kind of bring it back and then continuing on, you do kind of risk losing like all the stature that the show had. Mm-hmm. Because I think now we're at like a place in time where nobody wants to create like the next new thing. They just want better versions of things that we've already had. So I think that's why it's Batman the Animated Series. But I'm with you guys. I mean, Batman Beyond like really ended abruptly. So I would think if anything, they would kind of revive that, or like Beware the Batman. But I would be more along the lines of it being a prequel, because I don't know how you make a sequel to it, continuing. You had like Justice League Unlimited and everything like that in Batman Beyond. Yeah. So
that they recently did the Batman Future Continues comic book line. So they have actually, if they're going to adapt it, maybe they pull some of those stories. But I don't know. This just is, to me, it doesn't seem like a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would much rather Beware the Batman continuation or something.
Yeah.
Pete turned me on to that, and I've watched it. I watched the lone season that they had, and it was very good.
It's so, just the look of that show is so interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'd much rather that, and yeah, I would prefer a prequel too, to have something before the time that begins with Batman the Animated Series. Maybe get just an earlier telling of the Batman story on in animation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like year one or a movie that we've already had. So
yeah,
something like that I think would be cool. But just for the fact that we're getting more content, of course, I mean, if this goes forward with, I'm pretty sure we'll all watch it.
Oh no!
So,
I mean, I'll be there
right.
and watch it the first episode. I just
Yeah.
if it's great, it's great. And what do I know? But I'm just saying, I wouldn't mind.
I do have a question for you guys though.
Sure.
So if this does go through, do we get Conroy and Hamill back for this, and do you even want to see them come back for it? If it's like what we think it's going to be.
I've heard that the Batman voice just destroys Conroy's throat at this point in his life. So he's very selective in when he does it. Like I heard it's very painful for him, like post recordings. Like he can do it, but like it takes a while for him to. It's very strenuous on him. So like, I would imagine that plays a factor in this. I mean, I'm sure they're going to write him a huge check. So, but
yeah. I mean, obviously, you would like to have them back if you're doing the same story. But again, they're older now. Even Hamill, I don't know. Does he want to do it?
Didn't at one point Hamill say he'd only come back for like the Killing Joke, and then he did it, and then he did like a video game. Like I don't know if Hamill knows what he wants to do anymore.
I mean, he seems to be on the nostalgia train for Star Wars, so maybe he would come back and do the Joker again.
He's not drastically changing his voice. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no.
Yeah,
the Joker is
his voice.
That's him. He's just wearing a robe. But the Joker, you've got to become the Joker. So it's there's not. He's the best. Let's be honest.
But no, that is a good point. Bringing that up, that do they even want to do it, and if they don't, is it even worth going forward with?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out because there's so many other ways they can go with it. And again, HBO Max. One thing this does do is show how committed HBO Max is to doing things with DC, with Batman, and pushing that catalog on their streaming service, which I think all of us, since we're fans of the characters, love. So this is just another example of that.
That I'll agree with.
We'd be getting 2 shows. got some PD and whatever this one turns out to be.
Yeah, we would be. So
it's like a lot of people complain that HBO Max doesn't have enough children's content. So like, Batman the Animated Series is by no means like dumbed down for kids. It deals with some pretty heavy themes, but it's still suitable for children to watch. So maybe that's also another angle that they're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like this is just again another entry into the DC universe. Whatever they decide to do, so again, we're just getting more content, and it's cool that that's happening. So, again, if we get it, great. If it's a prequel, whatever they decide to do,
we'll check it out.
like I said, yeah, and we'll all be there watching it. We all know that. So, keeping in with in the TV show area, in the TV show realm with DC, Titans, we know, has found apparently it's Barbara Gordon. So Savannah Welsh has been cast as Barbara Gordon in HBO Max and previously DC Universe's 3rd season of Titans. She is handicapped. It is obviously the Oracle version of the character that we're going to be getting. So she is handicapped. The actress is also handicapped. So we're not getting Batgirl. We are getting Barbara Gordon. So I think this is actually pretty cool. Representation is important. And I think having a handicapped character be on a show that like Titans, it's going to be, I mean, Titans is kind of edgy, but we'll see how this all plans out. But I think it's kind of cool, and it's a nice addition to the show, and she's very important to the universe, so I actually like it. So what do you guys think? Pete, real quick.
I'm into it. I think it's cool. Like you said, representation matters, and I'm interested to see how they define this character of Barbara Gordon / Oracle. Like, from what I've read, Savannah Welsh was in a car accident, and she's had a leg amputated. So she's, did she get shot by the Joker? In real life, like that was the accident that created her handicap. So I'm wondering in Titans how do they create this version of Barbara Gordon? Was she attacked by the Joker? Was it somewhere else? Did she lose her limb in the line of duty as Batgirl somewhere else? So we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the dynamic is between her and Dick Grayson. That's probably what I'm most excited about.
Right.
Babs and Dick have a long withstanding relationship in the DCU. It's probably one of the more historic relationships, on and off. But I'm really excited to see how that unfolds. Because Eric, you're more into the show than I was. Has the relationship between Grayson and Starfire really kicked off? Have they? I feel like it hasn't really been established. Is that true?
Well, it was a big part of season 1,
but not in season 2, right?
Yeah, no.
So
they got together in season 1 when they first started. They left and they were on the road trip trying.
Okay, so
they first got together there. So yeah,
I'd be interested in seeing that love triangle unfold. Actually, to be honest with you, just to see the drama, because there's a lot of drama in Titans as is. So like, I'd be interested to see that dynamic of relationships.
Yeah. All right, so Zeddy, your take.
Yeah, I think this is cool. I mean, Batgirl Oracle is such a great character. Just to see her like back in live action, I think is so cool. I like that Titans is doing her. I respect that she is a real life amputee, so kind of like you guys said, like representation does matter, and it does kind of add a real life element to the character when you're watching her on screen. But I'm sure there must have been some kind of chemistry test between her and Grayson, so I'm sure that they made the right choice with the character. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried at how much they're sticking into the show, to be quite honest, only because season 3 just looks like it's going to be like epic in terms of everything that they're doing. So I am a little reserved, but I'm very, very excited to see Oracle Batgirl on the big screens. I think the last time we saw her was in Birds of Prey, if I'm not mistaken. So I think this
on TV.
on the Birds of Prey TV show. So I'm very intrigued. Like count me in. Like what they're doing with the show is incredible. So,
and according to IMDb, I think she's in 4 or 5 episodes. It's not a whole lot, so it's interesting. She's in there for a little cup of coffee, and it's a shame Brian Edward Hill didn't fill us in when he was on our show. Right?
That's true.
But maybe
we did ask him. But he didn't tell us.
He's really good at keeping secrets. I'll give him that. But
he didn't get tell on that.
It makes me wonder, like, who else from Gotham might pop? Do you think we may get a Commissioner Gordon appearance? I don't know. Like, it's fun to speculate stuff like that. They add a character as big as Barbara Gordon. You wonder what else they have up their sleeve.
Well, it seems like
goes in there too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like they've gone ahead with like Bruce, obviously, and being older in the Titans universe. So we're going to have, I'm sure Commissioner Gordon would be older and retired, because it says in the synopsis for casting Barbara that she's the commissioner. So.
Oh, okay. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So very Batman Beyondy. Okay. I like that. We can get into that.
Yes. So we're going to, obviously Commissioner Gordon is older, but I'm sure, hopefully we will see him. If they haven't killed him off. So we never know with Titans. You never know what they're going to do. That show takes liberties here and there. So we never know what's going to happen, but this is cool. I'm happy we're getting her back in some form, and we'll see what goes. The most recent we've seen her is in the Arkham games, right? I think that's.
Yeah. And that says Batgirl, not really as Oracle, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, she was Oracle in was it Arkham Knight?
Arkham Knight, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Arkham Knight, we had the DLC as Batgirl.
Yes, you can.
And then in Arkham Knights, we get to play as Batgirl as well. Yeah. But hey, Barbara Gordon is better than Barbara Wilson. I'll say that much.
Very true.
So there we go. So we have Titans filling out its cast, adding Barbara Gordon, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this works out, because
hopefully they could just stick the landing this year. The endings are the problem, I feel like.
Yep, that's the biggest problem with that show, man. The finales are just, I don't know. Doom Patrol 2, at least season 1 for me, but whatever. I enjoy all of those shows, so I can't wait. Keep them coming. I want more. Keep them coming.
Yeah, definitely.
There we go with that. All right, so we also learned recently that in the comic world that Robin will be getting his own book again. So That's pretty cool, right?
Dude, I'm pumped. We haven't had we had Robin, Son of Batman. That wasn't that long, but we had Tim Drake had the long run as Robin. I'm pumped for a new Robin series. This is written by Josh Williamson, who recently just finished a run on the Flash, and I'm just excited. I don't know, Zeddy, have you seen the picture? What did you think of the suit? It's not really traditional Robin. It's kind of gray. It's the only thing I'm kind of like worrisome on. Like I'm just looking at the promo images and I'm not really feeling it. It's better than that Red Robin suit from like the New 52. So,
yeah, I think it does have like a Red X kind of look to him, like from the the animated like Teen Titans show. If anybody can see or remember that, I'm on board with this one. Obviously, I love any Robin that I can get. He's like my favorite Bat Family character aside from the big man himself. I just love what the character represents. All of them. Even the little brat himself, which this one seems to be focusing on. But I can tolerate with him when he's written a certain way, which it seems like hopefully he's written in a good way. Obviously, like I'm a big fan of the Grant Morrison run with Damian and Grayson. So hopefully, like I think I read it in that it's supposed to be like they're taking him on another hero's journey. So it's like he's turned his back on everything and everybody that he knows and loves, and now it's kind of like his redemption arc. So
yeah,
I think it could be cool. Yeah.
So it's interesting to see where he finds himself, and obviously, like the promo image, like you got some Rose Wilson in the promo image. You got Talia, Batman, Roz, and it's I wonder just like what this ride's going to be like, and because I've actually Tomasi written some really great stories at the end of his run. I think it was like 1030 to 1033, dealing with Damian, quitting as Robin and doing his own thing, but coming back to Gotham to, basically fight his father and everything. So it was kind of interesting. So I hope that kind of snowballs from there and we just kind of figure out what's really going on with Damian, because I feel like I'm finally starting to enjoy this version of the character. Like he's been such an obnoxious dick for so long, and it's really prevented me from liking him. But hopefully that, now that he's got his own ongoing series, he'll actually have some like decent moments.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is one I'm going to be waiting for you and Pete and the rest of the guys to tell me how it is, just before I jump in and read it. I will be waiting for my more serious comic book friends to tell me if it's worth it or not.
I want Eric to start writing reviews on Robin. That's the goal.
Robin?
I mean, why not? Gotta
get
you back in the game somehow.
Yeah. That's true. It would be, hey,
I just read Robin Eternal from Future State, and I didn't actually think it was the most terrible thing in the world. So
I enjoyed it. It's not the best Gotham-based book, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Dark Detective or Nightwing, but it was serviceable.
Yep. Well, if I buy issue 1 of this, maybe one day in the future it'll be worth something if this Robin book turns out to be very good.
There you go.
But we do know that one comic is very, very valuable. And we just learned that a near mint issue of the first issue of Batman sold for over $2.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Which set a record for the most expensive Batman comic sold.
That's not even the most impressive part about this book. It's that it was a 9.4 CGC rating. That's like almost perfect. Like a 9.4. This book was published in like what, I'm looking for the date here, 1940?
Yeah.
Like, this book just like how was this person able to keep this book in such pristine condition? I'm shocked at that more than the actual value of the book.
Yeah, yeah. You're definitely correct on that. Like, that is crazy that this book has been around this long and it's just in almost pristine condition.
Because I just recently bought a copy of Batman 232, and it's kind of like it cost me a penny, but it's kind of like put into tatters. But it's 232, like I can't turn it down. But like it's nowhere near a 9.4. But it's it's like you have to have it. I can't imagine what it would be like to see this book. It's mind boggling. And then just, $2 million. Bruce Wayne himself must have bought it.
Oh man.
So Zeddy, do you have any comic books that are worth $2.2 million?
Oh man, I have to get a really big stack for that. Nah, this is great though. This is a great thing in Batman history. It's a great issue if anybody's read it, and if you haven't read it, please go read it. If you're a Batman fan, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I love the cover to this, just Batman and Robin swinging in. Like it's just
Yeah.
a cool cover.
10 cents it was cost to buy, guys.
Dude,
It was
that
10
is-
cents.
talk about
Can't
appreciation.
even get a pack of gum with that anymore.
Right?
Dude, 10 cents back in the day, it's like that was the only book you bought for like maybe a month.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You know?
It's nuts. But yeah.
That's great.
So, wow. That goes to show. I know you guys have a huge collection, so if you're ever in a jam and you need money,
go hit that guy up. Yeah.
go through your issues and see which ones you have, and maybe you could,
I did recently the other day. I found a couple that were pretty expensive, and I was just pleasantly surprised at how they grew in value. But I don't have anything that rivals this. I'll tell you that much.
It's like going to GameStop, sending a whole bunch of games in. Oh, that'll be $10.
Yeah,
like 30 games.
Yeah, they're about a quarter each. But you guys rip us off so bad. It's like it's one of the reasons I hate GameStop. It's like you just rip people off.
Crazy. Yeah. Wow. 2.2. That would be nice, man.
That's a chunk of change, man.
Yeah. That's some coin right there.
Yeah, especially right now when we have like Mega Millions. Guys, play. Don't forget to play Mega Millions because it's, I think, 940 million right now or going to be this weekend or whatever. Tomorrow night's the drawing.
I'll have to buy a ticket tomorrow.
I'm going to win it and spend it on some reservations for the Iceberg Lounge.
You're going to buy the Iceberg Lounge?
Yes. Yes, you will buy the Iceberg Lounge. Trust me. We'll give you a good price. We'll give you a good price.
That's a scary thought, man.
96.
What?
I said Zeddy's going to walk in there and drop coins like it's like you shit 1996.
It's going to be a carpet of coins.
Oh, my God.
All right. So, lastly, let's now get into Batman: Soul of the Dragon. This was the latest release from DC, Warner Brothers DC Animation, directed by Sam Liu, voice cast David Gentili as Batman, Mark Dacascos, as Richard Dragon, Kelly Hu as Lady Shiva, Michael Jai White as Ben Turner, James Hong as O-Sensei, Jamie Chung as Jade Nguyen, and Josh Keaton as Jeffrey Burr. So we have this latest installment. It's kind of an offshoot, or not an offshoot, but a different path than what we'd been given. We had been getting movies that were or kind of in the universe. This one is just kind of a one-off for animation. So very quickly, Zeddy, I'll start with you. What did you think of Batman: Soul of the Dragon?
Oh man, Kung Fu and Batman. Like, why didn't anybody think of this one sooner? I mean, I thought this one was great. And DC does make these really offshoot kind of Elseworlds movies. Like, they are typically really good. It's the one thing that they're consistently really, really good at. I thought this movie was pleasantly really great. I thought the action was amazing. I thought the story was cool. But I actually think that there was another cool element that I actually kind of really enjoyed, and it was the I know there's some people saying that there wasn't a whole lot of Batman in there. It was more of a Bruce Wayne story, which there were times where it did kind of feel like we were watching like an animated Batman Begins, which I thought that was cool. But the thing that I appreciated was in most of these movies, we kind of have like Batman kind of in like his prime or kind of like at the end of his career, whereas this one, it was almost like a year one if Batman took place in the 1970s. So I kind of thought that was a cool element. But I mean, Shiva, awesome. Bronze Tiger, awesome. Richard Dragon, awesome. I do have one ongoing complaint though, kind of like with all these movies, and it's just me just being a stickler. And maybe I'm the only one, maybe I'm not, but maybe you guys know this, but I just really don't like this use of like gore and like over like just swearing. Like, to me, like mostly it just feels like so out of place, and I really can't get behind it. But I mean, again, it's like just a minor nitpick that I seem to have in all these movies. But
it's too gory.
No. I mean, like sometimes like it could be a little over excessive in most of them. Not necessarily this one. I actually thought this one he kind of used the right amount, and I think it fit. I'm just saying like the use of like the swearing in most of them, like, because I mean, I still feel like a little kid should be able to watch Batman: Soul of the Dragon and not have to like worry about, oh man, is Lady Shiva gonna drop an F-bomb in this scene? I mean,
That's how I felt during Apocalypse War.
Yeah,
Whatever that was, the
but
Justice League Dark movie.
yeah, but I thought it was great. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I mean, go watch it. It's a great time. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I enjoyed it too. I'll speak a little bit more on it later. But Pete, what were the elements of this? Because obviously, like we said, it's not a typical Batman story that we're telling here. So, what outside elements did you enjoy the most for this movie?
I just liked how unique it was. You know, it's they've been really kind of doing this like in continuity movie universe thing, and you know, originally these were animated original movies, so they were kind of like standalones at one point. But I kind of like how Batman Ninja is its own thing. This was too, like, and like Zeddy said, it's like it had a Batman Begins vibe, but seeing just Batman and Bruce Wayne in the 70s, you know, operating a like I don't know a casino, bar, nightclub type thing, and having the criminals come to him and him surveilling them and using his security systems to, you know, eavesdrop on what they're saying and everything. I thought that was fascinating and a fresh take. And then, you know, how, you know, Richard Dragon at times kind of reminds me of Bruce Lee, just like the clothes he's wearing and everything. I thought that was wonderful and just paying homage to Bruce. And, you know, we've talked about Bruce on this podcast before, and just embracing just other characters in the Batman universe, not necessarily like, you know, while I like movies like Hush and Batman Year One and stuff, this was just like a complete, it's not an adaptation. It's an interpretation, you know, it's a brand new idea. And just, it's something that's so creative, you know, just this cool Kung Fu Batman movie. And like, I mean, the soundtrack is awesome. I've been trying to track it down. I can't find it on iTunes, but I love that soundtrack. It just screams of Enter the Dragon to me. And
yes,
I loved everything about it, really. And I know some people have complained that Batman wasn't in it too much, but I thought Batman was in it really just the right amount of time. I really dug this whole like Bruce Wayne vibe, you know, like he kind of had like this James Bond thing going on with the car with him and Richard, you know, chasing down the sword with Shiva. And, you know, it was just really fantastic. And I was like, wow, this is cool. And Batman and magic doesn't really do it for me. And this had a little bit of that, but it was so minimal that I really kind of didn't mind it. And even though the way the movie ends, as it ends open-ended, like I was like, this is just perfect the way it is, you know, like I didn't need it to really, if the demand's there for a sequel, by all means go chase after it because people are requesting it, but I don't need one. I kind of like it in its own little bubble, you know, but I wouldn't mind seeing more of like this 70s era Batman, not necessarily a sequel, but a movie that takes place within that timeline. That's cool to me. And I would appreciate something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a kind of a love letter to that era of kung fu movies in the 70s when they were very much in demand. And you guys are right. The movie it's a Batman movie, but he's part of the cast. He's not the lead. I wouldn't call him the lead in this. I would say it's kind of like, if this were live action, I'd say it's an ensemble cast where you have all of them kind of get their moments to shine. And I don't want to. Are we spoiling? Should I spoil? I don't know if I want to spoil.
Yeah, no spoiler. I mean,
all right. So he's technically not even the hero in this. He's not the
Richard Dragon movie,
right? It's a Richard Dragon film. So, and yes, Pete, you're 100% correct. The Richard Dragon character is a definite homage to Bruce Lee. Like, there's no doubt about it in my mind. I can even say Michael Jai White could be even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the Bronze Tiger. Like, you know, like just the way
they had Enter the Dragon, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you have that, it's that dynamic here. It's definitely, like I said, it's a love letter to that time period. I enjoyed it. I just thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. I thought O-Sensei was great. He's kind of the comedic, you know, old guy sensei who seems serious at times, but he's also very, very comedic. Kind of like Mr. Miyagi in a way from the Karate Kid films. Like, you had him there. So I really, really enjoyed this. If they do another one, I hope they bring in more of the Batman universe into it. Like, maybe bring other characters in from the Bat family to round it out a little bit, to just add that kind of element. But it's a lot of fun. It's, again, like you said, it's not in continuity, so it's you don't have to worry about seeing it something before it or after. It's its own story, and I really enjoyed it. Really quickly, guys, on the voice casting of all the characters, anyone you liked, anyone you didn't like, I thought
they all did an exceptional job. But going back to CCXP, which was, I forget when that was that in September? I don't remember. But they were promoting this movie back then, and actually, the main cast, like the four main characters, have all fought each other in real life in like live action at times. So like they used actual martial artists, to for these roles, and I thought that was very creative and interesting while we're talking about the cast, and I found that very fascinating. So like all these people have actually fought and worked together before, so it's interesting that now that they have done voice work together, which is interesting. And earlier what you said, like the movie does dig deep into DC lore. Like there are a lot of interesting characters in this, from King Snake, who's actually Bane's dad, Silver St. Cloud, who's probably my favorite Bruce Wayne love interest of all time, Cobra. I mean, there's so many cool like just dives in here where you're like, oh wow, cool. They did. It's not like they're all original characters. This Richard Dragon is even a Denny O'Neil creation, who was originally like a blonde white dude, and they retroactively made him more relevant. So like I thought that was cool. So I was like, wow, this movie, I think they pulled out all the stops and everything was just top notch. I really loved everything about this movie.
Yeah, and Rip Jagger, Judo Master, right? Like you have throwback to that. So yeah, that's in here as well. So Seti, what about you? Any of the cast? Like for the first, let me ask you, when you were listening, did you know who was the cast before you watched the voice cast?
No, I think I knew. I think Michael Jai Wright was Bronze Tiger, right?
Yeah,
that was the only person I knew that going into the movie. So everybody else just felt like a cool surprise for me, and I thought everybody fit well. Yeah,
I told Pete before we started filming.
Arkham Origins.
Yeah, he was the only voice I recognized, because I forgot I knew about this because Pete and I had talked about the voice casting a while ago, but I forgot. And then when I watched it, I'm like, okay, I know his voice. Like that voice is familiar.
Well, Eric loves Spawn, so he's seen Spawn.
I do. The movie is not good, but it's from a time period in my life when I was younger and things were better. So, so like it's nostalgic for me with that character. And he also played Mike Tyson in the HBO movie about Mike Tyson's life. So
he also played Bronze Tiger and Arrow, correct?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so
he did.
This isn't his first go around. He just had to add a little, a little jive turkey.
I did love the Cobra villain too, because I was over here sitting losing my Batman Beyond fanboy mind.
Right?
Just thinking, I was like, oh my God, I had the biggest smile on my face. I thought that was incredible. That was incredible.
I was really excited about it. I thought that they did such an exceptional job, and I just kudos for that to everyone involved for just coming up with this idea, right? Because this is an out of the box idea. It's something that they've never even done before. This kind of like period piece Batman movie, right? Yep. Especially from that era, and it was so cool. I would be cool if they did like a Batman movie similar to like, if they had a Batman movie in every time period, like what if they did 60s Batman? Well, they did Return of the Caped Crusaders, but let's say 50s Batman, 40s Batman, 30s Batman, and then you do one in the 80s, you do one in the, I would be open to some kind of like generational Batman series or something like that. I think that would be very interesting.
I agree. I think there's a place for that. I think we have a place for that in the animated space. You have so many more opportunities there. Obviously, you don't have to cast live people. It's not, not worried so much about scheduling. Is not
10 poles. They don't have to make $1 billion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When it's funny because like when they say a live action movie is made for the fans, that means the movie's not going to be any good, right? And that's already like hint number one. But when you make a movie like this, you are literally making these movies for the fans, because that's the only people who care about these things are us. It's not this big market tentpole movie that has to make $1 billion to be even considered a success. So like I'm glad they take these chances in animation. I really am, and that's why I kind of really love animation. Like everyone's like, oh, you watch cartoons? Like if you saw the cartoons I watched, like if I showed you Batman Saw the Dragon, you probably would be like, oh, okay, like I guess I get it. So
yep, agreed.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
So Soulbreaker, the sword, is obviously a big part of the film, and it's traditionally linked to Katana, and in this we have it with Shiva. But like Pete said before, it's part of the mystical part of the movie and the mysticism that's involved with everything that goes on. I don't want to give too much away because I want people to watch it, but did the demonic mysticism stuff part of it, does that bother you, Zeddy, or are you okay with that?
I think Pete mentioned a few minutes ago where like the mysticism in Batman kind of doesn't really jive all that too well. It's kind of like Superman and magic is kind of the opposite effect.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind it. I think it added an interesting element to him. And when Batman has a supporting cast around him and it kind of makes up for it a little bit. So if it had just Batman solo, I think then that might have been a little weird.
I thought it was just the right amount, to
Yeah.
be honest with you. It wasn't too much, it wasn't too little. It was in there the right amount of time, And I can get into like a really good Batman Zatanna story, but
Yeah.
it's just not really my cup of tea. But if you got a good one, like and I enjoy it, more power to you. And that's kind of where I felt like this fell in line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not something that bothers me that much. But I definitely was something that, again, anytime you see Batman in that kind of an environment, it does kind of diminish who he is and what he does. But it kind of worked in the film. He was still able to use his toys and gadgets that he always uses to fight and for them to be effective. The scene where he breaks the guy's head or snaps the guy's neck and then he comes back to life, that was crazy.
Yeah, I was on color rash. I was like, oh wow, this is something where and it allows him to do stuff like that. Like he can even be like slightly edgier, right? Like he can break this guy's neck because he knows he's possessed by a demon. So it kind of unleashes his more ferocious side, which we don't really see. Like we never, if Batman does that to like some dude stealing a purse, Fanboy Nation erupts in like,
here we go. Batman killed somebody.
Batman with guns. He killed the fat clown. What's going on here? Nolan's Batman doesn't kill. Like he just goes on and on the same arguments and tropes, and you're just like, oh god. But because he's possessed by a snake demon, everyone's like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. So it's it works. There's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. If you guys had to grade it, what grade would you give it, Pete?
Oh, I give it a solid B+. It's entertaining. It's new. It's fresh. It's just, it's so unique, and it takes its liberties, but I think it's very creative and well done and well acted.
Okay, Zeddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a B+ too. I think it has a nice place in the DC animated canon. Absolutely, go check this one out.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd co-sign that with you guys. I say a B+. It's like I said, it's not part of their continuity that they've been doing in animation, but it's definitely a fun movie. It's a throwback to a time period that is, for this specific genre for kung fu movies, was very, very key. The 70s was a big time for that. So it's a like I said before, it's a love letter kind of to that era. And yeah, B+. Definitely, guys, if you haven't watched it yet, definitely go watch it because you'll have a good time.
It's a great palate cleanser, great change of pace.
Yeah, it is. Definitely is. And once you guys do see it, if you want to talk to us about it, you know how to find us. And you guys can hit us up there. So Zeddy, what do you got going on with the Vigilantes? What's going on in the future? What can they look for from you?
Vigilantes on a little bit of a short hiatus right now. We're kind of waiting for some things to ramp up, but we did have we had our first ever live stream last Friday, I believe, where we kind of just talked about the first 2 episodes of the MCU's WandaVision, and then we broke down the potential return of Chris Evans' Captain America, where we talked with the Nerdom podcast, Tim and Carlos.
Love those guys. Love those.
Yes, love those guys.
The live stream is on YouTube. You can just go over to Let's Go Podcast on YouTube, and you should be able to find us there, or the audio version is up on Apple Podcasts.
All right.
Yeah.
And where can they find you specifically?
You can find me on Twitter at popz_95. Also, if you can, please feel free to go follow the Oscars movie podcast that my co-host Nick Caruso and I do at letsgopodcast.com, where we take one quote unquote marquee film or two and we talk about it. So yeah,
I want to be. I don't know if you guys have done it yet, but if you do One Night in Miami, if you want.
I've heard amazing things about that.
You could throw me in on that because I really love the film. So
it's good. Eric, it's good.
Yes, it's excellent.
Yep,
a really good movie. So definitely, guys. Everything Zeddy just said, go check them out. I love their show. I love their chemistry. They're great. So definitely go check them out. Pete, what do you got going on outside of what we're doing here?
Well, all I do is what we do here. So you can follow me on all forms of social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Zack Snyder's favorite Vero at Pete Illustrated. Please follow our show accounts at straight_O_G on both Twitter and Instagram. Hit up our Facebook pages. That's a Facebook group and our Facebook page, Straight Outta Gotham. Make sure you enter our rate and review contest for the month. January is underway, so please do that. We're giving away Volume 3 of Garth Ennis, Justin will correct me on how to pronounce his name, Punisher run, hardcover, as I can knock on it right here. That's a solid book right there. That is a hardcover. So make sure you enter, rate, and review our contest as well. Stay tuned. We're having an Iceberg Lounge this Friday with the good people over at the Let's Go podcast, Justin Kowalski and his crew. Fantastic group of guys over there. Zeddy's part of that network as well. Check out my reviews of Detective Comics and DC Future State. Dark Detective over at Batman on Film, and Eric and I are gonna, we're teasing a little venture we're doing with the Batman Book Club at the end of the month, covering all the Gotham-based books in DC Future State. Dark Detective, Robin Eternal, Nightwing, Catwoman, and the next Batman. So we're covering all. We're keeping everything Gotham in Straight Outta Gotham.
Yes, thank you, Pete. And you guys can find me on Twitter at Finally33. It's spelled Finale33. Pete already plugged all of our Facebook stuff, so guys, check us out there for Straight Outta Gotham. Peter, again, we talked about the joint venture we're doing with the Batman Book Club on DC Future State, so that should be coming sometime within the next few weeks, I would think. We'll have that done. You guys can check us out there. Pete didn't mention this, but he recently did a Batman on Film podcast, so check that out.
Oh, yes. Original.
Yeah, listen to him there. I don't know. I think it's 165 or I don't know.
75, something like
that. Just go, guys, if you follow Batman on Film. Yeah. If you follow Batman on Film, you guys will see it there, but check that out. It's him, Garrett Grev, and Ryan Lauer. They're doing an excellent job. And it's the first Batman on Film podcast in a while. So definitely, guys, you want to check that out for them. So I think that's it, guys. Zeddy, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys so much. I had a blast.
Mine.
Yes. So for Nick Zednik and Peter Vera, I am Eric Holzman. This is Straight Outta Gotham, and we'll see you next time.
Booyah.
Booyah.